Hey, good morning, friends. Today, my friends, is Wednesday, June the 24th, 2026, and the time now is 8:16 a.m. So, friends, I want to talk about the World Cup 2026, and I want to talk specifically about Uzbekistan. And this is just a brief update, and also it is a showcase or a rolling out of the playlist for Uzbekistan. Now, friends, if you're new to this channel, The Echoing Voice, or if you're watching my video for the first time, I want to say thank you for watching and thank you for possibly becoming a member of this channel and a supporter of this channel, The Echoing Voice. Now, friends, if you're new to this channel, if you're watching for the first time, I want you to know that every international institution, every prominent international institution, such as the European Union, the African Union, NATO, and so on, does have at least one playlist on this channel. However, friends, every country has at least two playlists on this channel. One is entitled the country's name and the other domestic the country's name. And this is how it is set up. For example, the country's name playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas about the country's interaction with countries or relations with countries and institutions in its region and around the world. In this case, we are talking about Uzbekistan. Therefore, the Uzbekistan playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas about Uzbekistan's geopolitical position, its perspective, its relationship and or interactions with countries, institutions in its region and around the world, as well as its participation in the current 2026 FIFA World Cup, which is also a geopolitical event. And I'm going to repeat, I do believe the World Cup is a geopolitical event. However, friends, the domestic the country's name playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas about a country's domestic situation, whether we are talking about infrastructure, food security, agriculture, education, and so on. In this case, we are talking about Uzbekistan. Therefore, the domestic Uzbekistan's playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas about the domestic situation in Uzbekistan, whether we are talking about education, food security, infrastructure, youth and sport, agriculture, and so on and so on and so on. Now, friends, if I can remember the exact historical reality, if I haven't forgotten anything, Uzbekistan, a Central Asian country, is currently playing or participating in the FIFA World Cup for the first time in its history. So that is a big deal for any country, and for a country such as Uzbekistan. It is in a group where it has to contend with, okay, or participate or contest with a giant, one such as Portugal. And yesterday they played, I think to an extent they were very much timid, and that seemed to be the case with many countries that I've been watching playing in the World Cup, where because they're playing a bigger, richer, powerful, or much more renowned countries in football, they seem to be very timid or scared, whichever word you want to use, or very conservative as they play. My policy is that the weaker, powerless, or less ranked countries need to play the powerful countries the bigger countries, the much more renowned countries, play them man for man, ball for ball, run for run, defender for defender, and charge. Basically, contest every ball, every run, and so on. That basically was the case last night with, or yesterday evening, with the game between Ghana and the United Kingdom, England, where Ghana very much played the hell out of them. The Ghanaian defense was top notch. They play a hell of a defense, a hell of a ball, where England basically was confused. They looked lost. They were disappointed, and they played like they never played before. But in fact, Ghana should have won the game yesterday. They had several calls that basically the referee did not call in their favor. One such as a penalty, which was was clearly a penalty, where the Ghanaian striker was in the box, in the England box, trying to kick the ball. Basically, the English defender just kicked the hell out of him, just ran into him. That was clearly a foul, a penalty, but Ghana was never given the penalty. Now, friends, I do apologize for deviating. As I've said, and as the thumbnail says, I should be talking about Uzbekistan. So back to Uzbekistan. Now, Uzbekistan, you could tell that to an extent, they were very much timid. They were very much conservative at the beginning of the game, even though they've went under by a goal or two. However, when they scored that goal, there was a goal where Uzbekistan, one of the Uzbekistan's striker, basically went into the Portuguese defender, who basically fell, won the ball and passed it to one of his teammates who kicked. Basically, the Uzbekistan striker kicked the ball from outside of the Portuguese box and scoring a phenomenon, a wonderful goal. And the referee basically canceled the goal and calling a foul against Uzbekistan. I think that was not a foul. I think it was a challenge. Things just happened. I think the ref should have given them that goal. However, after that goal, even though it was disqualified, I saw the momentum that Uzbekistan brought. They were playing the hell out of Portuguese, and it seems like they got a momentum. They got a boost. They began to believe in themselves. So they were playing, they were pressing, they were winning ball, they were passing the ball. So I think this is the thing. When you play in a bigger, much powerful country, okay, the much ranked, high ranking country, you have to play them man for man, ball for ball. You have to contest every ball. You have to challenge them, and you have to be willing and able to go into their box to hunt for goal. If you do that, you're in a better position of either drawing with them or even defeating them, and shocking the world. But for Uzbekistan, a country, a small country playing in the World Cup for the first time, I think they did a tremendous job. And perhaps their experience this year will basically necessitate their government and their public as well as private sector in sport and youth infrastructure, basically to prepare them for the next international event, the next round of international events, such as the Olympics, the World Cup, and so on. However, I am happy for Uzbekistan. I am proud of them. Whether or not they will not be qualified to the next round, the round of 32, which seemed to be the case, I am proud of them and I am happy for them. But they have one more game in their group stage. Even if they don't win, they need to shock the hell out of the world. They need to spoil it for someone else. And kudos to Uzbekistan. I hope they continue to grow. Now, friends, please tell me what you think. And I really want to know what you think. However, friends, I am going to end here. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends. But most especially and most importantly, or most important, my friends, I want to thank you a lot for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace, my friends. Peace.